Good morning, pilots, and welcome back to Flying with Overkill F-18C Hornet. Today we're going to be talking about the AGM-65F Maverick. So the AGM-65F is an infrared tracking missile. It's an air-to-ground missile, although it does have the ability to attack ships. Pretty straightforward to use. There really isn't a whole lot to it, and honestly it's probably one of my most enjoyable weapons to use in DCS. There's just something about firing the Maverick that's just fun. So we already have, get you guys caught up here. We have waypoint 1 selected and boxed out here. Waypoint 1 is our target zone that we've been using right out here. Okay, we're currently 16 miles away from it. And so first things first, let's go ahead and get into prepping the Maverick for launch. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the camera here. I'm also going to give you guys a couple of things on the controls. Now, we already went through all the controls in the first tutorial, but if you weren't around for that, let me show you things that you're going to want to have bound. Now, I have all of these on one hat. I have the Thrustmaster Warthog, and what I'm using is the DMS switch, so it's the hat directly below the trim hat. And you want your radar elevation up and down. Now these aren't going to all be used for the Maverick, like for example these two are not, but it's handy having all of these right next to each other. The radar field of view button we're definitely going to be using today, and then the target designator control to press. I recommend having all that side by side, because when we get into the TGP we're going to use all of these together. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into the cockpit. So the first thing we're going to do is come over here and go to stores. We're going to select the Maverick, and you can see that the Maverick is now boxed. We can see the station looks like 8 is selected, and if we come down here to step, we can cycle through the selected station, or we can also see that if we come up here to Maverick F again, first things first, let's put us in air-to-ground mode. Without being in air-to-ground mode, notice everything was boxed out, so if we pull that out, it's in standby. Back in air-to-ground, they're actually ready for use. And then once you're in air-to-ground mode and your master arm is selected, we can go in and activate the TV camera. If you select the Maverick air-to-ground mode master arm and you do not get the camera, chances are you're going to have a timer right here. And if you see the timer there, all you have to do is wait for that to expire. The Maverick missiles have to time in. It's okay. They have to warm up. All right. So you can see that Station 8 is currently selected. We can step through the different stations over here. And you can also see the slight movement of the camera as we do so, as it's selecting the different station. Okay, you have your fusing options here: instant, delay 1, delay 2. Remember, your delays are used for penetration mode, so if you're punching through the top of a hangar or something. Here's the ship mode I was talking about. If we were to box that, we would be able to strike a ship with it. And here's your track selection. So you have white hot and black hot. White hot will track a hot target against a cold background, and then black hot obviously the other way around, a cold target against a hot background. Obviously we have our menu button that allows us to switch the screens. Then we have our radar field of view button, or not radar field of view, just the field of view button. And what the field of view button does is changes from wide to narrow view. These 4 carrots that you see inside each quadrant here is a representation of what the TV screen will display if switched into narrow mode. So if we were to hit the I key on our keyboard or press this button, you can see that now we're in a zoom mode, and what we're seeing is everything inside of these 4 carrots here. Okay, you have your pitch scale giving you reference into the nose of the aircraft or the bore side of the missile. And then we have our caged indication. Caged means that the Maverick cannot be slew, it's not ready for deployment. So the other control that we will need for today's course is the cage uncage button. So wherever you mapped this guy in the first tutorial, if you were a part of that, you'll want to make sure you have this at the ready. We will need this each time we go to employ a new missile. Okay. So if I press the C button, you can see now it's switched to uncaged, and I am able to slew the missile once we select the sensor. So speaking of sensor select, the other thing that you're going to want to have mapped, if you have not already, I would hope you have these by now, but is the sensor control switches. Okay, these guys right here. And there's a total of 5 of them. Okay, so we have aft, depress, forward, left, and right. You're going to want these today based on what DDI or the MPCD you select the Maverick to. So in this case we have our Maverick on the left DDI, so I'm going to hit sensor control switch left, and you can see this diamond appears. Okay, the diamond basically is a representation of what your current sensor of interest is. Okay, so as long as the diamond is in this screen, I can now use my slew controls in the HOTAS to move my Maverick around. Okay, now speaking to the slew for a second, if we go back to adjust controls, go to axis assign. Again, I have the Thrustmaster Warthog, so yours may be slightly different depending on what configuration you guys have. But mine has a mouse on it. Okay, I've got a little finger mouse on the throttle. And if I come in here, okay, I can go in and tune that. So if I just rest my finger on it, okay, and it moves and I don't like that, that's where I can put in the dead zone. Okay, so that way it won't actually move just by me resting my finger on it. If I find that the slew is moving too slow for me, like I need it to move faster, it's just too slow, I can come over here and adjust the curvature and bring it down. Okay, smaller the number here, the faster the cursor will move. Larger number, the slower it will move. Just remember that whatever changes you do to one, make sure you do it to the other one. Okay, because if you don't, then obviously you're going to have different movement speeds from your horizontal to vertical axis. Alright, so pretty simple stuff there. Let's go ahead and cancel that guy. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to talk about inside the cockpit here, so unpause the camera, is if I come down here, and this is totally personal preference, and I go to my stores page, and I go to Maverick, okay, I can now see the Maverick page down here on the AMPCD. Okay, and for some people may prefer this because it's a little bit easier to see everything because it's a colored screen. So you don't get that green washout that you get with the DDIs. Okay, so that's another option for you as well if that's something you choose to do. For today's purposes, we'll just go ahead and keep it up on the DDI. Now, to quickly bounce back and forth, you can see this iMav display. Okay, and I can just flip that over there. Now I have noticed, oh, now it appears here. The first time we hit it, it was not available there, so I'm not quite sure what that was about. But anyway, so if you don't see it, typically you can just go to stores, select your Maverick, and then all of a sudden, you know, the iMav display is now available. And we can do the same thing on the right one if you want. Okay, so here's another example. It's not here, so we'll hit stores, Maverick. Okay, but now we see iMav display, come back here, and now I've got it again. So if you ever run in a position where you don't have that, that's why. Just use the stores page to bring it up, and then after that the iMav display appears. Again, no idea why. Now let's get into how to employ a Maverick. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause the sim here. Let's get, actually I think I just paused the sim. So let's come out of active pause. There we go, that's what I wanted. And I'm going to go ahead and put some barometric altitude hold. Alright, let's unpause our camera. The other thing we need to talk about, I will go ahead and pause again. Alright, so here we have this upside down triangle. This is a visual representation of the HUD of where the Maverick seeker is looking. Okay, and if we come back to our Maverick screen, we can see that. So there's the mountain range, there's the same mountain range. Okay, and so what we're going to do is, once you've identified the general area of your target, you can just use your HUD to bring the Maverick in the you know, rough area of it before you actually start messing down here and getting precise with it. Alright, so I'll show you guys here what that looks like. Go ahead and unpause, go ahead and back into active pause here. Alright, so I have my diamond indicating that my sensor of interest has been selected, so now we're going to come up here, move the TDC down, and right about there. And then if I come in here, we can see there is our target zone. And so I can either manually press the button here, there we go, or I can press that I key that I've mapped to my HOTAS and be able to quickly move in and out. I highly recommend you guys get that mapped. It's critical. Like, you're going to be in and out of it pretty quickly. Okay, now let's talk about locking a target. So I'm going to come out of the unpause. So one of the things that Maverick's going to do right now is, as you can see, if I try to hold it over a target, so I'm letting go of the TDC, it starts to move. Okay, and for a lot of people this drives you guys crazy, and I think it's because you don't understand what the Maverick is doing. So the best way to think of it is, instead of picturing it as a camera that's going to just find a spot on the ground and hold it, think of it more like a sniper sitting on your wing. Okay, so he's pointed his scope down 20 degrees, but he's not moving it because he wasn't told to move it. Okay, we're telling him, hey, sniper, put your scope down 20 degrees 10 miles out, right? So he's pointing his scope down 20 degrees, and then he's just leaving it there. And so as the aircraft continues to move forward, he wasn't able to find a target, and that's why it keeps bouncing up and down like this. Okay, it's not able to lock onto a target yet, so that's why it keeps on rolling. So the Maverick is still pointed down about 20 degrees or whatever degrees that you set it to. It's just the aircraft's moving forward. So the Maverick is, moving forward with it. Like if we look here, it's not moving. Okay, it's staying right where it wanted to. So if we when we find our target, what we have to do is keep slewing it over it and just sort of hold its position. And to give you guys an idea, typically between 7 and 10 nautical miles, depending on the brightness of the target. Let's get those stupid labels off. I hate labels. Between 7 and 10 nautical miles, we will you'll get a lock, depending on the intensity of the target, the size of the target. Okay, that's where we'll be able to fire. And what we're going to be looking for when it's time to shoot, either all 4 of these will close, okay, when it's actually locked onto a target, or what it will do is I believe it will ground stabilize and pick the surrounding area. Okay, so it will generate enough contrast where it can lock onto a spot. Okay, and long story short, what you're looking for is this X will go away and you'll see ready right under here. Same thing if we go up to the HUD where it says Mav F here and it's crossed out, that cross out will go away. Once that's gone away, you can let go of the missile. Okay, and we'll do that by hitting right dot in space or whatever you bound your weapons release to. Okay, remember, not the trigger, but the weapons release. So let's go ahead and see what this all looks like in action. Should get a lock here any minute. Alright, so there's our lock. So you can see now it says ready. The X is gone up here. The X is gone right here. We're at about 7.2 nautical miles. And rifle. Missiles away. Let's go ahead and bring her out. And just because it's fun, let's track the missile in. So there's the seeker right there in the front of the missile there. You can see where the camera lens is. And so if anyone didn't catch that, the brevity code when you fire a Maverick is rifle. And the brevity when you destroy a ground target is shack. And that is definitely a shack. He dead. Alright. So now we've seen the basic way of employing a Maverick missile. Okay. Visually look out the window, find your general area, slew your camera up there, right? And off we go to the races. Now, let's try something a little bit different here. Next thing we're going to do is use the waypoint to our advantage. So we're going to go back to our HSI. We still got waypoint 1 selected. So let's do a little bit better here. So we're going to come out. We're 8.3 nautical miles. We still got our Maverick selected there. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use the WP DSG there on OSB 19, or what would that be? Excuse me, 14. And what that stands for is weapon designate. So it's going to tell the system that that waypoint, that location there, is a target waypoint. That's why it's really important. Gosh, I can't talk this morning. Really important to enter in your ground waypoints. Okay, whether it be a some calls in a cast position or a friendly position down on the ground. Always enter in your ground elevation whenever available, because you can use that to quickly slew your camera over to your target. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like here in just a minute. Alright, 16 out. That's plenty of time. Let's turn back in. Alright, we don't have to be perfect right on waypoint, not that critical here. Let's go ahead and level it back out. And lock her in. Okay, so keep an eye on where the camera is right now. So currently it looks like we're pointed out to sea basically, and it is. So what I can do is, you see how it's uncaged, I'm going to press my C button again and cage it. And it will put it back into the bore sight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press this weapon designate. And boom, if I hit my field of view button, we're on the target zone. Now here's the trick here. I've gone ahead and paused it here. So what it's looking at is my waypoint is based on that center target there. Okay, that's what I used to create the waypoint with. Now, the thing to remember is when I hit weapon designate, notice that the waypoint up here changed to target. While this is box, while you see TGT there and it's got a box there, and you can see the diamond now referencing instead of the circle with the dot in it indicating a waypoint, so now it's changed to a target. Okay, while that is boxed, I cannot move the slough. Okay, so if I unpause here, I'm moving my slough right now, and it's not going to move. Okay, what I have to do, and this is still a much easier way to get the Maverick in the general area. So I've hit my weapon designate, the Maverick camera moved down to the target area, so now all I'm going to do is unpause here and uncheck that, and now I'm free to move the Maverick. Okay, so it makes it a lot easier to get the aircraft on target. So let's go ahead and grab this guy on the other side. So it's going to do its bouncing around thing for a minute. There we go. We have a lock. Looks like that second target. Let's move it. See if we can get it to come down that first one. Looks like we're ready. There it is. Rifle. Okay, coming off target. We'll leave our waypoint information up. And hope you guys saw that again. We got the ready symbol. The Maverick box was no longer crossed out. Remember, once you see that, you're ready to shoot. Curse splat. Okay. There's just something cool about using them. They are my favorite. Okay. So, we've gone over now how to use the waypoint to quickly get the Maverick on target. So remember to always, as often as you can, enter in your elevation of the waypoints, because without the elevation this wouldn't have worked. If I did not have the elevation set and I put that weapon designate, the camera's going to point in whatever altitude is set. So it's basically going to point up in midair. Alright, so next thing I'm going to show you guys is basically the same thing. It's just a little bit more refined if you want to get into a specific area and you have this information available. Now, the tip to this is that the Maverick will not always lock the specific target. This is not, it's not like a JDAM. You're not going to necessarily get the exact target you want by doing this next step, but you will get very, very close to it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So what we're going to do here today is we talked about precise waypoints, okay? Well, we're going to get even more precise today now and really start confusing you guys. We're going to select a new target. Let's find something we haven't hit yet. Let's come over here. And then what we're going to do is hit left Alt and Y. And here's what we're looking for. We're looking for degrees, minutes, seconds, decimals. So as I was saying, what we want to do here is we're going to use these precise coordinates to get the Maverick on target a little bit faster. Okay, now it's sort of mixed results, but sometimes what you can do is actually enter these coordinates. We'll use our weapon designate and the Maverick will actually lock the target from there. So let me show you guys what that looks like. So the first thing we need to do is set our aircraft up to receive those precise coordinates. So even if we hit precise, remember we get decimal, longitude, and latitude. We don't want that. We want degrees, minutes, seconds, decimal seconds. Alright, so in order to do that, what we're going to do is come over here to aircraft, and you can see right there is where our format is on OSB 15 here. So we're just going to tap that until we see seconds, latitude, longitude. And there we go. Degrees, minutes, seconds, decimal seconds. Alright, so now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and enter in our new coordinates. So we're going to come over here to the HSI again, go back to data, we'll select waypoint 2, let's create a new waypoint. We're going to go over here to UFC just like before, position, still starting with north. And we're going to use 4157 or 5020. So 415020, enter, okay, and then enter in the decimal 67. Enter. Alright, now start our easting. 414740, 414740, enter, and 38. And hit our elevation, go to feet, 32 feet, enter. Alright. And so then, if we go back to our HSI, just like we did before, we have our Maverick selected down here on the center AMPCD. Let's go ahead and bring us around to our target. And the Maverick is uncaged, so we're going to cage it again using the C key to get it back into bore sight. And then very quickly, we'll level the aircraft out and tap our weapon designate. And we'll use our field of view, zoom down in on it, and you can see that we're basically on the target here. Now keep an eye on the Maverick indicator as we get closer. Let's go ahead and throw the autopilot on so we don't smash into a Volkswagen. And there it is. So if you see it, I have not touched the slough. We're still in the weapon designate. Okay, target. I can't move the camera around. And we are ready to shoot. So if I unpause, rifle. Okay, and the next one will go down to the same area. So those are three pretty simple ways to use the infrared Maverick. The waypoint designation makes it a lot easier to get the Maverick on target. The precision coordinates definitely works nicely if it's only a single target off by itself. So if you have a tank out in the field, you know, that's giving troops hell or something like that, it does work very nicely to use those precision coordinates. But as far as when you have a sort of a flooded area with a bunch of armor around that you just need to come down, lay some weight on, just your standard waypoints will work really well to get the Maverick camera into the right area, so that way you can select your target of employment. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to leave your comments or questions in the fields below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one. I'll see you later.